born in Macedonia, but now calls Australia home. Pana Endov decided to make a change and a difference in people's lives by starting up a monthly magazine called The Sixth Sense. He covered subjects that happened to be Pane decided to make a change and a difference in people's lives by starting up a monthly magazine called The Sixth Sense. He covered subjects that happened to be dear to the hearts of Nexus readers, which include ancient civilizations, top secret projects, hidden agendas of the elite, esoteric arts, UFO phenomena, and ET influences in humanity's progress and more. As a teenager, Pane found that the secrets of yoga and Buddhism came naturally to him, and so he underwent rigorous training. His capabilities went through the cosmic roof, and soon he was communicating with the hierarchy of ET intelligences and getting very interesting and specific messages about our past and about our possible futures. He also began to understand that humanity has been the subject of some kind of huge experiment involving several ET races. Pane is convinced that we are going through the end of a great cycle that will culminate in December 2012. The signs are already with us, he says, and he has a few examples to prove it. Time is short, and we need to recognise what's coming if we're going to head it off at the pass, if not neutralise it, he says. So we're very fortunate to have Pane here to give us a big picture vision on assembling all these different pieces of the cosmic puzzle. Please give a big warm Nexus Conference welcome to Pane Endov.
Thank you so much, Duncan. I really appreciate it. It's really great to be here among you wonderful people and a part of this magnificent event with Duncan behind the steering wheel. So the subject of today's talk is going to be cosmic coincidences and expectations for 2012 and consciousness rising as we approach the end of the great cycle. So just a few words about myself. In the last 20 years I've been instructor in fields of progressive meditation, remote viewing, astral projection, Kundalini yoga, and many other disciplines. I had thousands of students worldwide, which I developed a special relationship and make a seed for further growth and development. Back in 2008, I was organizer of the global healing meditations that took place worldwide, where thousands of people were meditating in the same time, projecting their thoughts and energy in order to heal our planet and to rise the vibrational level. I'm also a contactee from the age of 7, and those contacts are still ongoing. Back in 1995, 1996, I was informed that there will be an extraordinary cosmic event in 2012, but deliberately in 2008, by direct extraterrestrial guidance via holographic projections, I was shown what it will take place with the planet Earth and what kind of implications this cosmic event will have on us. So, if it's okay, I would start. So, just a simple formality. This talk is information purposes only. I will not be held responsible for action taken as a result of the information that you are going to receive today. Thank you. So here we are, Monday, 25th of July, 2011, only 512 days until the end of the Mayan calendar, or until the position of the planets in our solar system come into this formation, right, on December 23rd, 2012. That's where I expect that something magnificent is going to arrive from the galactic core, something known as a super wave or a nexus, a wave of energy that was released by a powerful explosion in the center of the Milky Way galaxy a long time ago. So I'll be talking about crop circles because many of my contacts are with the genuine crop circle makers and what they are referring about the cycle. And also I will be covering what humanity has to do in order to pass the requirements. And I will be talking about the sun. Most of the Asian knowledge had reference towards the sun and
the cycles of the sun. So at the moment, scientists had discovered that there are new particles never seen before emitted from the sun. They're capable of mutating matter, and in our biological bodies we have 8 radioactive elements, and every time there is a crack in the magnetosphere, this mutation or radiation, how should I put it, is even bigger. So also I will be talking about objects that were spotted very close to our solar system. Some people call it Planet X, some people call it Nibiru, second sun, brown dwarf, and a few other names. So I will be sharing my perspective about what this object is, how far it is, and what kind of implications it will have on our world. But the main focus will be what we as humans can achieve by uniting our thoughts and energy and feelings and just rise the vibrational level, and we can do only by the higher consciousness. And finally, I will be showing you something that Jonathan had explained profoundly, what extraterrestrials are referring that we as individuals have to do, and also on the planetary scale, some force field that needs to be created by special type of meditation. So before we go into the 2012 event, I will shortly like to share my story, how my contacts began with extraterrestrials. So I will take you back in time. I became one with this biological body around 38 years ago, and my basic purpose of coming here on this planet was to help the consciousness transition and to make this cycle a success. So the first time that I was taken was in my own country, in Macedonia, which is in Balkan region. And with this arrow you can see here, that's where my house was. I have an older brother who is 14 years older than me, and at the time he was taking me a lot very close to a river nearby, and he was very, very skilled into the martial arts. And his moves were quite impressive, and I enjoyed him moving in that speed and creating all these movements, right? So this is the place. This is the place where it happened the first time. So the image is a little bit new. 30 years ago, it was not that light. It was more darker place. And one evening, interesting thing happened. Very close to a new moon, I started to spot a big ball of fire. It was yellow, red, it was changing also colors, sometimes more into pink and with a green on the periphery. And it came natural to me to ask my brother how come there can be two moons. After I didn't go through any response, after a few seconds I by default look at him, and he was directly staring into this object that we are seeing. And this is the type of craft that is often recorded all around the world. And the next thing that took place, there was a flash, a white flash. Nothing was visible except whiteness. I didn't know what to make of it. I got a little bit scared and uncomfortable. But after a while, this whiteness started to shift. Started to become more like a liquid type of light, and after that I started to recognize that there is some kind of opening and there are some kind of silhouette standing on the other side looking at me. When I started to see more properly, opening are not human at all. So they're actually something like disappearance. So they had a wings, like a half-transparent wings behind their back, and if you do a little bit research, you will see that also NASA had reported in many occasions that the cosmonauts actually had reported visits of angels. They call it illusions, but if you go and speak with the astronauts, you will see that the experience is real. When actually they entered me into their craft, they transmitted to me that there is nothing to be afraid and no harm will be done to me. I was put on the table, and there was all kinds of examinations that were taking place, but especially beams of light were going on my body all the time. I didn't feel any pain. Actually, it felt more like a hot sensations and a colder sensation as those beams of light were going through my body, and it was obvious that they were doing some kind of alternation of my DNA structure. I communicated with them through telepathy. I was hearing their voices, actually thoughts like a voices in my head, and they transmitted that they are very, very glad that they had found me before the others did. I didn't know what to make of it then and who the others are, but they also said that they will be able to know where I am from now on, that they will be able to protect me. They also said that they will be doing something to me in order that I will be able to experience certain stuff, and as a result of that experience I will get knowledge and understanding of the dynamics, so when the time comes I will be able to pass the message to humanity. And also, which is completely
Ну что, компьютер, что-то, блин, перестал работать. Это доклад пани Андова в Австралии на какой-то конференции по неопознанных объектах, по НЛО, по другим цивилизациям. А компьютер отказывается, потому что он сходит с ума, когда хочет, блин, а то он не компьютер.
My notes. Thank you very much. Gay marriage, a hot topic in the press today. Who's talking about?
With the Figaro, and it says that Hollande stands. His ground while his opponents get ready to rally together, and there's a photo of Hollande meeting with religious leaders yesterday. Now, this was an informal meeting, and Hollande's very careful not to upset them about this controversial gay marriage issue. Many religious leaders, especially the Catholic Church, have called on people to take place in a massive demonstration that's due to take place on Sunday. Now, there are reports that the turnout could indeed be very large. The government, according to the Figaro, is keeping a close eye on the demonstrations, but has vowed not to give in.
These movements, right? So this is the place. This is the place where it happened the first time. So the image is a little bit new. 30 years ago, it was not that light. It was more darker place. And one evening, interesting thing happened. Very close to a new moon, I started to spot a big ball of fire. It was yellow, red. It was changing also color, sometimes more into pink and with a green on the periphery. And it came natural to me to ask my brother how come there can be two moons. After I didn't go through any response, after a few seconds I by default look at him, and he was directly staring into this object that we are seeing, and this is the type of craft that is often recorded all around the world. And the next thing that took place, there was a flash, a white flash. Nothing was visible except whiteness. I didn't know what to make of it. I got a little bit scared and uncomfortable, but after a while this whiteness started to shift, started to become more like a liquid type of light, and after that I started to recognize that there is some kind of opening and there are some kind of silhouette standing on the other side looking at me. When I started to see more properly, I realized that those beings that are standing inside this opening are not human at all. So they're actually something like disappearance. So they had a wings, like a half-transparent wings behind they're back, and if you do a little bit research, you will see that also NASA had reported in many occasions that the cosmonauts actually had reported visits of angels. They call it illusions, but if you go and speak with the astronauts, you will see that the experience is real. When actually they entered me into their craft, they transmitted to me that there is nothing to be afraid and no harm will be done to me. I was put on the table, and there was all kinds of examinations that were taking place, but especially beams of light were going on my body all the time. I didn't feel any pain. Actually, it felt more like a hot sensations and a colder sensation as those beams of light were going through my body, and it was obvious that they were doing some kind of alternation of my DNA structure. I communicated with them through telepathy. I was hearing their voices, actually, thoughts like voices in my head, and they transmitted that they are very, very glad that they had found me before the others did. I didn't know what to make of it then and who the others are, but they also said that they will be able to know where I am from now on, that they will be able to protect me. They also said that they will be doing something to me in order that I will be able to experience certain stuff, and as a result of that experience I will get knowledge and understanding of the dynamics, so when the time comes I will be able to pass the message to humanity. And also, which is completely accurate, they had been guiding me all this way, and every time when there was a need for it, they actually provided the necessary guidance and information. So they said that I will have to play a big role into the process of awakening and providing a vital information in the time just before the great cycle. And they said that many spirits will return to the stars, and this cosmic event is going to be extraordinary. So after this checkup and change, I started to see that there is some like a transparent part of their craft. Obviously, they were showing this to me on purpose. They were returning me back to Skopje, and the next thing that I remember, that I was above my settlement. I recognized my settlement, and there was another flash. Immediately after another flash, I opened my eyes, and the first thing that came into my mind, what happened to my brother, because I was standing with my brother very close to the river when this object approaches. I started to run directly into his room, and I found my brother just shaking on his bed. There was a small blood coming from his right nostril opening, and he was terrified, completely repeating, "What happened? What happened?" My mother got worried about this event. She didn't know what to make of it, but it was obvious something extraordinary, and she decided not to speak too much with the neighbors, because in those times it was very difficult to speak with, how should I put it, with other people about those experiences. The interesting thing is that as soon as this event took place, I started to recognize a shift in my perception. I started to feel like edges of the table or the furniture are very, 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 very hard for me. As soon as I would pass very close to those furniture or table or whatever, I started to feel like some part of me is cut on them. Very, very similar like chi energy flows that are cut on the sharp edges. And this sensitivity went to a high degree, and also I started to experience that as soon as I touched some object, I started to read from the matrix of that object, getting some kind of visions about the object, what happened in the past, and eventually what will take place in the future. But the most profound thing that it was taking place, that during the nights I started to awake, but this awakeness was different. I was not feeling any weight. I was floating above my bed, completely able to see everything in my room. And first I got scared, and these projections actually were cut off. I didn't know what to make of it at the time, but as I got older, I understood that people call this astral projection or out-of-the-body experience. So after playing around, and when I returned to my physical body, because I was feeling that I will die first, when I got in courage, I actually went straight through the ceiling. And that was an extraordinary sensation, just like in movies. I was able to see the roofs and all my neighborhood from above. And the interesting thing is that there was always a light somewhere in the background, always following me. I didn't feel any threat from it. It was more like a protective type of light, like we are watching a baby making the first steps into new world. And afterwards, I started to tune into some kind of buzzing sound, or how should I say, a state of consciousness, which was introduced by a buzzing sound in my ears, and where I was able to actually hear voices, and those voices were exactly matching the thoughts of my mother, my brother, and the people around us, even cats, dogs, and sometimes even when I went inside the bus, I was able to hear all those voices. It was a psychic noise. So this is one of the rare images that I kept from those times. This is my mother, Josefina Andova, and she had a difficult time to cope with. The things culminated one evening when we were at the neighbor's house, when I was actually started to seeing multidimensionally with open eyes. I started to see that our house is on fire, and this impulse, how should I put it, or vision started to increase in intensity, and I started to pull my mother that something is wrong with our house. She didn't believe me at the time, but after I was persistent and I make a scene, actually, she decided to check it out, and the moment we approached our place, there was a fire coming from our house. Luckily, the neighbors came, we put the fire down, and everything went well. But that was actually the deadline for my mother. She started to really threaten me that she will take me to hospital or to some other place to see what devil actually has gotten into me and how I'm able to perform all this stuff. I knew that she was serious and that she is not kidding, and I started to back off this force. And I really back off until I started to feel normal. I didn't feel sharp edges anymore with my closed eyes or wherever I'm just walking somewhere. And afterwards, not much happened. Actually, I led a beautiful childhood with everything, right? And things started to progress again when I became a teenager. Introduced by the esoteric sciences through my uncle, Rudek Moser, who was very initiated into the Tibetan Buddhism, Indian yogis, and how all those people are able to meditate for a very long time without food and water, and to perform all kinds of, how should I say it, extraordinary manifestations. So that's when I started to train martial arts. I started to develop my chi energy flows and to train to meditate. It took a while until I was able to meditate deep as ocean for more than 6 hours per day in the lotus position, and that's when what people referred as a Kundalini energy started to wake up. I started to feel like a buzzing sound, like in your ears, and that's where when Kundalini actually reached my head, I was able to produce something what people call exteriorization of the consciousness. And that's when those astral projections started to happen again. It was quite amazing to see that the death does not exist, that we are far more complex and far more beautiful than these biological bodies are, right? And when you go out of the physical body, at least that's my case, I start to see like a white line, like a contour, and there is just a bluish aura around it, and I'm able to penetrating through walls, to fly, to neutralize the gravity just by conscious command. And for every one of you who is training these arts, I would just say that just one flight, like people are describing in the near-death experiences, with more than 700 k's per hour, above 2 meters above the ocean surface, and going up towards the sky, you will say, what I have been missing all my life. And all this is not because I'm special, because we are all special and we all have this potential. So I started to write those experiences in my diary, thousands of out-of-the-body experiences which mysteriously disappeared as soon as we actually came to Australia. Our apartment actually was broken And they didn't took any money or whatever, but those diaries and some other notes that I was actually leading, like a communications with extraterrestrials, they were all gone. So, just for example, when you go out of the physical body, you start to encounter all kinds of activity, especially UFO activity. It's very similar to this. If you go outside and you start to record on the normal light, not much you're going to do to see what UFO activity is concerned. But if you apply infrared cameras or night vision cameras with certain adjustments properly done, you will start to see objects flying, information from time to time, and not just that, but also astral bodies and other entities who are just moving on the other frequency not visible for the physical spectrum. So as soon as things went further, I started to realize that the things that I'm experiencing, no one is talking about. No one is talking about on news, on television, on radio, and I started to understand that something actually is going on that the people are not aware of. After a while, I started to use my astral body to go away from the surface of the planet towards space, but as soon as I reached the height of somewhere around 40 kilometers from the surface of the planet, my astral projections were cut off, like I was hitting an invisible energetic barrier, and I woke up physically immediately. It took a while before I got stronger to penetrate through this layer of energy, how should I put it, and that's where things got really, really weird. I started to see that there is a frequent traffic of objects penetrating our planet and exiting our planet. And I'm not saying just few objects, but with hundreds and hundreds during a single day. And that's when it became obvious that we are obviously of some kind of experiment of at least many of those races are doing observation over us or are observing us. So especially on this object here, which is experienced from 1993, if you can see here, this object is where I had spotted on the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. And this one here are the balls of light that I was seeing actually penetrating our planet all the time. No one believed me, even from those few people that I was able to share this experience with, that this is true. But luckily, with the development of the ufology and many great people out there that are doing the research and providing the video evidence, especially with Martin Stubbs, who was in charge of one television station, and he just directed one dish towards the space, and he was lucky enough to pick up the direct downlink from the space shuttles to Houston, and he provided this. So as you can see, this is on infrared. That is why his black and white is from STS-63, and they are trying to locate the Mir space station. They cannot locate the Mir space station because more than 100 objects are appearing and disappearing from the radar. Those are the same type of craft that I observed on the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. And those are those balls of light that I was observing in those times, as you can see clearly, creating intelligent formation. So you can see we are never alone, and the evidence is all there, and they are keeping this secret, which is not the right way to do. Every time when there is a storm, you can be completely sure that there are more than 200 objects above the sky charging from the released energy from the thunderbolts. Exactly the same as we go with our vehicles into the petrol station to refuel. They are refueling their propulsion systems with this organ energy which is discharged from the thunderbolts. So this led to a direct contact with the extraterrestrial races. Many of those contacts were positive and beautiful, but some of the contacts were extremely aggressive. I got in conflict with certain races, one of which was the Grey Collective, and I can confirm that we have a presence from both polarities, both positive and both negative. So all these experiences of mine are put into a book that I published in 2007, which is available there on the table, whoever is interested, where I actually described 18 out-of-the-body experiences of mine concerning the extraterrestrial contact and what they are doing here and what they are saying about the future events. My life afterwards went into the direction that I was trying to help as many as possible, giving my knowledge to all the people who is open to this arts. Like I mentioned on the beginning, I just developed a special relationship with every student of mine, and I was trying to help him as much as possible to achieve the same. So, in my perspective, this is the way we have to go back to the nature, and we have to unite with that energy, understand that energy, and how to direct this energy. Back in 2006, actually, together with my beloved wife, Svetlana Andova, we started a project, as Duncan mentioned, a magazine called The Sixth Sense, which was covering practically the same topics as Nexus magazine is covering. But particularly in 2008, when I was working on the decoding of the crop circles, that's where the contacts with the crop circle makers intensified to a high degree, especially when I was describing what kind of technological achievements can be achieved through the information delivered by the crop circles. So as you can see here, those balls of light are everywhere. I'm here meditating. You cannot see me, but very close from the Sri Yantra there is a huge ball of light. And from here you can see this is the entity that went through the wall inside the room, again, everywhere. Every time when I was actually working on this, for example, group that I worked in Melbourne, as you can see, those orbs are everywhere. Please pay attention to this region here. You will see one of those balls of light penetrating into the room. There you go. It's completely intelligent, as you can see. And they're following me all the time, and the progression that is made. Which takes us to a logical question: who makes the genuine crop circles and why? To the best of my knowledge, at least few extraterrestrial races are making these genuine crop circles, and they have different approach, but mainly the approach is that to inform us because our governments are deceiving us. They are not providing us the real situation of the planet, the real situation in the Milky Way galaxy, and especially the real situation, what we really are and what our potentials are. So, to the best of my knowledge, as you can see, more than 20,000 crop circles are delivered, and usually the question that comes to me is where they're coming from. They're coming from many dimensions, and they live on many places, even in physical dimension, even in other dimension, but as you can see, they're using these like a portals. So, for example, this is a good one from 1996, from Oliver Castle. As you can see how they're actually penetrating our dimension, influencing the crop with the microwave energy or electromagnetic energy, if you will. Once again, can you please increase the volume? Thank you. Okay. So, those crop designs are usually delivered very close to Stonehenge, to Asian stones, Asian horses, stone horses, monuments that are there for a very, very long time. And like I mentioned, to the best of my knowledge, more than 20,000 diagrams are delivered in the past few decades worldwide. The military is highly, highly interested into these messages that are arriving, and every time there is a balls of light or craft above the fields, the military is picking up on the radar. Immediately there is an order for the fighter jets or the helicopters to intercept those balls of light and to avoid eventual delivery of information, which is very, very vital for humanity. Usually people come to me and they say, look, are you aware that the government has lasers and HARP and everything, all technology that can create a crop circle just in a second directly from the satellite? And I will just say this: if that's the case, if those balls of light are governmental properties, then how come they're spending money for the fuel, just putting and giving order for those helicopters to chase their own property? It does not make sense. What actually is going on, that those crop circles are delivered by certain intelligences in order that we get certain information regarding to the crop circle. it became obvious, at least to me, analyzing a few hundreds of diagrams, that there was an open communications from the genuine crop circles and then from the man-made ones, because it's obvious that the shadow government wanted to establish this kind of communication, exchanging of information regarding technology and many other stuff. But the NTIs didn't want to play their game because they understand that they are very, very deceivers, how should I say, and that is why they started to put those obelisks. Those obelisks there are receivers. As soon as certain frequency appears around the fields, which actually, as I mentioned a while ago, these objects are penetrating our dimension, this frequency appears, and that's where they actually are getting there. With the help of the Discovery Channel, National Geographic, and other media, crop circle phenomena was completely buried. Just everyone is ridiculing this phenomena. Everything is man-made. It's all done. There's nothing to see, and so on and so forth. So how come the military is so interested into this phenomena if that's the case? So as you can see from the left, this is what the best humans can do, what complexity is concerned, and the real stuff is usually followed by those balls of light that we are talking about. With the human ones, you can see the footsteps everywhere. The crop is completely destroyed, and they remove all the information from this. This, by the way, was achieved by the team Satan in New Zealand, just for example, that people can make these crop circles. Yes, they can make these crop circles, but you can see also the mess that they can make. Back in 2000, Dr. Eltio Hasenhoff actually stepped forward, which is very rare for the mainstream scientists, and he actually examined many crop designs, and he noticed that there is a thermal expansion and node lightening with many of those. He was searching for some matching of the distribution model of node lightening, and he found one, and this mathematical model was actually electromagnetic radiation distribution of a point source. So as you can see here is a light bulb, right, and as you're standing just beneath the light bulb, you're most exposed to light or radiation. The further you go from that source, the less light it becomes. Or in other words, the distribution of the node lightening is strongest in the crop circle center, and it's less and less as you go towards the edges, right? So as you can see, this one is the normal crop, which is not influenced by microwave or electromagnetic energy, and this is the node lightening very close to the center, and as you go, if you go towards the edges of the pictogram, this node lightening is getting less and less. So the difference between the man-made and the real phenomena is that the plant is still alive. It's bended, but it's still growing. As you can see, this bending sometimes can be even to around 90 degrees, and the plant is still growing. It was actually exposed to extreme high temperatures, but in the split of a second it was cooled also. So for the last, with this 10 to 40 micron diameter pure iron spheres detected with the genuine phenomena, which is not present, and they're impossible to find with ones that are made by ropes and sticks. So as you can see, if you're at least psychic or open into this information, when you look at this, it radiates energy. There is a communication with the consciousness. Just look at these variations in the crop circles. And this is even the 3D depiction. It's very hard even to draw on paper, even in a computer it will take a while, and this is, don't forget, it's crop that we are talking about. So let's see what the crop circles are saying about 2012, right? In many occasions, you have a conclusion that it's a countdown to 2012. So this one appeared in Stanton, St. Bernard, Wiltshire, in August 2007, as you can see, and it's the Olmec and Meyer number 6. So you can see I put it here, the Olmec numbers. This is the number 6. Sorry, that's the one, number 6, and this is the number 10. So this diagram appeared on June 8, 2004, and this diagram appeared on August 18, 2007, which is 6 conjunctions to go and 10 conjunctions to go, which will be far more greatly seen from this angle here. As you can see, this is the number 10 that appeared on June 8, 2004. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Venus-Sun conjunctions to go, and this diagram appeared on August 18, 2007, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Venus-Sun conjunctions to go. So they are counting something. So it's obvious that they are telling us, referring us to 2012, and the alarm is raised. So this pictogram appeared in July 30, 1996, and as you can see, it's a Mayan symbol of the Hunapku, or the galactic center. As you can see, and there are waves that are merging in all directions, and also there is a motif of a new moon and some kind of comet or a beam of light. So back in 2008, a few weeks before I was shown those holographic projections on the astral plane, in one of the transmissions, they just transmitted search. There is something extraordinary that is happening at the moment in the Milky Way galaxy, and search for Pau L. That was all that I was able to pick up. I started to do a Googling, Pau, and nothing happens actually in 1 day or two, and afterwards I stumbled into the research of Dr. Paul Laviette, and who was actually exploring the superwave theory. And when I started to realize what he was researching, the hair in my head just went up. I contacted him immediately and told him, look, I was told about your research by the extraterrestrials. He was laughing at the first, but as the conversation started to go on and on, he started to become more serious. At the end of the conversation, he was completely convinced, and we continued to communicate and exchange information till the present day. So, for example, this one, which appeared on August 12, 2001, as you can see, it's massive, it's major, and we are talking about 409 circles of various sizes, which is 240 meters in diameter, and it's simple, despite the complexity. It's a spiral galaxy. And when Milky Way galaxy is concerned, it's very difficult for us to determine the right proportions and the right shape and appearance of the Milky Way, because we are seeing it all the time from an angle. But the extraterrestrials are saying that this Milky Way galaxy actually has 7 spiral arms. So before any one of you recognize the all-seeing eye inside this, and you say, like, here is another Illuminati agent in disguise, I can assure you that that's not the case. Let me just explain about this. I asked the NTIs about what this thing is, and they said this is neither positive, neither negative. It's just simply energy, and the contact which is made actually is polarizing this energy. For the Illuminati, it's meaning something else, but also there is another side of the coin. So let's just analyze for a while, right? Sorry. So we are talking about every dollar bill, right? The eye of the pyramid. So the Great Seal of America, which appears on every American dollar bill. So we are talking about 13 steps. So there is a pyramid of 13 steps, and there is some kind of writing here, and this writing is nothing else but the Roman numerals for the year 7076. So let's see this. In the Great Cycle, there are 13 backtons, right? Those are those 13 steps with 20 cartoons each. Each cartoon consists of 20 tunes, so there are 5,200 tunes in the Great Cycle, which means that the first cartoon started on 7056 and ended on 7076. And the last cartoon, the 13th one, was started in 1993, and it will end in 2012. So, which is even more interesting, this one is extremely old picture. It originates from 1778, and the name Berenice actually literally means through the ages. So, what is coming when all those ages actually are over? This thing. To be even more interesting, an interesting parallel appears when they started to dig for gold in Ecuador, and they found a cave. They found a cave with more than 300 objects, and one of those objects was actually this. And some of those objects were dating more than 12,000 years ago. And obviously it was the same, 13 steps, and there was an eye. And when you see from the bottom, you see some kind of script and Orion star constellation. And one of the professors in Germany, Linguistic Academy, Professor Kurt Schulman, actually made a translation, and he stated that these writings is matching the time of the ancient Sanskrit, and the literal translation is "the Son of the Creator comes." So what is this eye that we are seeing everywhere in the space? The interesting thing is that there is a gate, and there is something coming from this gate. They are referring to the Sagittarius A star, which is a code name for the supermassive black hole in the Milky Way galaxy center. There is a hole and there is an explosion. As you can see, hole and explosion, and they're referring to this. When those galactic cores explosions happen, there are two things that are appearing. First, there is a cosmic jet that goes perpendicular to the galactic plane, and there is a wave of energy that is spreading along the galactic plane towards the edges of the galaxy. When you throw a rock into the pond, right, or into lake, you have a disturbance. You create a concentric circles. You create waves, right? So that's the same what they are saying. There is a wave. Watch out that there is a wave. And the wave is coming from the galactic center. Again, you can see a plane with birds in two directions. They're actually referring to the galactic plane because they inform me what they're trying to say. And even more birds going into two directions, and they're referring to this, and I will explain this in more detail. The energy is extreme, is going towards the edges. It's massive, it's flying fast. It's going to hit the sun. When it's going to hit the sun, it's going to change how the sun is spending its fuel, is going to produce that sun moves from its so-called main sequence into what is known red giant phase. So what will happen in our solar system in the near future, right? So for this we can analyze the pictogram that arrived on July 15, 2008. It is obvious a solar system, and when you analyze you see that it's completely matching our solar system and the planets in it. So they even left a dot for a moon, and also they left a ring for Saturn. Again, the anomaly was found, and the crop is not destroyed by the mechanical force. So if you just make a digital extraction of it, and you go and Google it, right, and for some solar system software or solar system live software, right, and you type 2012 December 23rd, you get the same formation of the planets with one difference. Pluto should be here, but in their diagram is moved to a side, and I will explain why that is the case. So another parallel, on 29th of March 2011, this amazing display was observed by so many in Christchurch in New Zealand, and it was lasting for hours, and it was morphing, changing, showing us something, and a lot of UFO activity actually was observed even from space. So the interesting thing, when people started to analyze those stars and planets along this amazing display, they got that this is matching again the same message. As you can see, Mercury, Venus, Earth is missing because we are observing from Earth, Mars, Saturn, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto again pushed to a side. So it's not the first time that those amazing blue displays are observed from International Space Station. So someone is referring us very strongly that we pay attention to a certain time frame, to a point in time, which is 23rd of December 2012. Just 7 days after, on July 22nd, 2008, update appeared, and which in my perspective is a Rosetta Stone to everything we need to know what 2012 and 2013 event is all about. So the owner of this property, actually the farmer, wanted to destroy the crop formation. As you can see, he made a damage with a tractor. But for you guys, I inverted the image so you can see where he actually damaged the soil, and all the rest is just bent and influenced by the same amount of force. But luckily, the information was delivered, and our solar system does not look the same anymore. So let's just analyze this for a while. Our sun is not in the same size anymore. It became bigger. Mercury was swollen and Venus was swollen, which leaves us Earth and Mars dangerously close. There is some kind of object appearing very close to our solar system, which exactly, if you apply astrophysics and you find astronomical charts, you will find that it is coming from the Virgo constellation, and which is again influencing this object here. From our right side, we can see a moon's movement around the Earth during the year, because you can see one big circle and the new moon here. And there is another attachment to it, as you can see 11 rings with a dot, again symbolizing the same reference, December 2012. When I checked the astronomical charts for a new moon in 2012, December, I found that actually it's appearing on December 13, 2012, which is when we will start to observe from the sky something that is approaching from the Milky Way galaxy. And down further, we can see different symbology here: a Milky Way galaxy with a depicted galactic plane, cosmic snake, cosmic kundalini or nexus or whatever suits your terminology, snail, spiral, again a new moon, and two stars in the Ficus star constellation, which is very close to the sun in that particular time. So let's analyze the small ones, right? As we mentioned, the first one is depicted galactic Milky Way galactic plane. The second one is the cosmic kundalini, the nexus or the superwave. The third one is a snail. Just for information, snail in ancient Maya tradition is a symbol of termination of the physical life and also the closure of a cycle. The spiral, on the other hand, represents the life-death rebirth cycle of the sun. And the fifth, as we mentioned, is the new moon, which is very close to a Ficus star constellation at that particular time on December 13, 2012. But sun changing size, is that possible? Definitely it is. This is just a small example of the life of a star. From the stellar nebula, from the gravity, we get two types of stars: average star and a massive star. Average stars is a type of star that our sun is at the moment, which is a yellow dwarf type of star. Yellow because of the color of the surface, and dwarf because it's small for a star. When the fuel is exhausted, it moves into the next stage of its life. How should I put it? It becomes a red giant, where the outer layer gets more cooler, it loses brightness, it gets more reddish, but the core of the star collapses. And eventually the outer layer is released and becomes a planetary nebula, and the only thing that is left from the star is the so-called white dwarf, or the core of the star. And the other ones, which are massive stars, they go into the red supergiants, but they go into supernova, and from supernova they can end up like a neutron stars, or mini black holes. So let's see what thanks to History Channel, what NASA is saying about this. Can we have please the audio a little bit?
Our solar system is capable of both astonishing beauty and ferocious violence. It seems impossible to believe, but it won't be around forever. Eventually, even the sun must die.
The sun has a fixed amount of fuel in its core. It is undergoing fusion at a rate that you can calculate. You say, here's the rate that's using its fuel. Here's how much fuel you have. So it's a simple calculation to show when the sun will die.
Well, unfortunately, the sun will not go out with a bang. It is too small to erupt in supernova. However, stars do a peculiar thing. They're one of the few things around that get hotter as they cool off.
As it exhausts its hydrogen fuel, our nearest star will cool and gradually collapse under the force of gravity. Energy from this collapse will start heating up the core again to hundreds of millions of degrees, hot enough to start burning helium. Under the extra heat of the helium burning, the star will expand into a monstrous orb called a red giant.
It gets so big, it will engulf the entire orbit of Mercury, Venus, and Earth. You don't want to be around for that. You want to be planet hopping your way to safety long before this happens.
The Earth is likely to change its orbit slightly as the star expands, so that it won't be engulfed. Still, talk about global warming, you wouldn't want to be there.
The outer layers of our sun will eventually become so unstable that they will fly off into space, leaving behind a small core about the size of the Earth.
So remember, we've shrunk most of the sun, which is 1 million miles across, to the size of the Earth, which is more like 6,000 miles across.
Our once great star reduced to a slowly cooling cinder.
And life as we know it on Earth will cease to exist. And that is the death of the sun.
So exactly the same same was actually shown on this diagram. So if this is done by some jokers or drunk people, how come they're so well known into have a knowledge of advanced astrophysics? How they didn't depict that Earth is also swallowed, or at least just Mercury or Jupiter, and how come all the information that is inside this crop design, we checked every detail, and there we found absolutely no error of it. So just for example, this is the scale where the sun can expand. So you can see it will be an extreme difference if they're correct. So how long, according to the extraterrestrials, this red giant phase will last? Usually the scientist says it takes billions of people just for this phase to complete. But they had give this information to us also. So this diagram, as you can see here, appeared on June 29, 2008. As you can see, 3 full cycles of Venus, the second planet from the Sun, right? And you can see 3 cycles here, right? So 3 multiplied 1.6, or where 1.6 actually comes from. The Venus takes only 225 days to orbit the Sun, but when we observe from Earth, actually the full synodic cycle takes only 1.6 years. So 3 multiplied 1.6 years equals 4.8 years from the June 2008 to March 2013. And those little ones here actually are 5 half cycles of Venus, which 5 multiplied 0.8 equals 4.0 years from June 2008 to transit in June 2012. And for the comparison, the Mayan Sun-Venus calendar, like we all know, they had many calendars, ends on March 28, 2012. So everyone in Mexico know about this, right? This is the Mayan whale, right, that appeared in Silbury Hill, August 2004, and this one in Wollstone Hill, right? Hotspur Shear, Thursday, August 2005. As you can see, it's clear depiction of the ending of the 5th sun on December 23, 2012, and the start of the so-called Aztec 6th sun on March 28, 2013. So we have a reference from December 23, 2012 to 28th of March 2013. As the sun, according to them, will start to expand, the temperature will rise rapidly, the luminosity will go at least thousands of times, and we all know where that leads. As the star expands slowly towards the 28th of March 2012 and is going to experience the culmination, the outer layer will be released, and the only thing that will be left, only the core of our star. Just for example, the temperature we have today is only because of our distance to the sun. If we are further away from the sun, the cooler world we will have. If we are closer towards the sun, the hotter world we will have. When the outer layer will increase in size, that means it will be so hot that all the waters in the oceans will be affected. By the way, I don't like what I'm saying, but it's true that I'm after, and I believe people have the right to know if something is going on. To the best of my knowledge, this is the only reason why the underground world was created in the first place. The shadow government has the information for at least 60 years and is creating the so-called underground world. And it's already operational. We are witnessing that there is a presence of technology in certain groups of people that are at least 10 centuries at least more advanced that we are able to comprehend or to use in the public domain. Behold the latest progress of the so-called Alternative 3. Alternative 3, probably the ones of people among you that are longer into this know about this stuff. So it was a project for eventual evacuation to save the humanity. It's some kind of cosmic threat actually appears. So as you can see, those like tunnels that are appearing, and this is the latest project, and I cannot go further into this. So even the sun is going to do this, actually is capable enough to deplete the whole atmosphere and to bake us to square one. I communicate with a lot of people, among people in NASA and so on and so forth, and usually people come to me, look mates, are you aware that we have at least 5 billion years to go until the sun goes into the red giant phase? There is enough fuel to burn for at least 4 or 5 billion years, which to some degree is true, I agree. But there is a component that is missing in the equation, and this component actually is the nexus or the superwave that will make this change, and I will explain in a minute. Before I go on, I would just slightly like to touch the subject that from all our observations we found that the galaxies have one supermassive black hole, sometimes more, and they're all going through cycles. After each cycle, there is an outburst of energy that goes and releases a powerful wave and cosmic jet. And this powerful wave actually is very similarly depicted in this. This is a cartwheel galaxy, which is 400 million light years away from our home. As you can see, this is the actual size of the galaxy itself, and this is where the nexus reaches. As you can see, it's far beyond the borders of the galaxy. This is the cosmic jet. This one is an X-ray, this is an ultraviolet, visible spectrum, and infrared by Spitzer. So as you can see, this is not news. It's happening everywhere in the cosmos. Exactly the same was detected not long ago by the Fermi Space Telescope. More than 25,000 light years in each direction perpendicular to the galactic plane was detected coming from the galactic core. So let's see what NASA actually is saying about this. Can we have please the audio?
Using data from NASA's Fermi Gamma Ray Space Telescope, scientists have recently discovered a gigantic, mysterious structure in our galaxy. This never-before-seen feature looks like a pair of bubbles extending above and below our galaxy's center. These enormous gamma-ray emitting lobes aren't immediately visible in the Fermi all-sky map. However, by processing the data, a group of scientists was able to bring these unexpected structures into sharp relief. Each lobe is 25,000 light years tall.
So, when this energy actually touches physically, makes a physical contact with the sun, is going to change the rate of how sun is spending its fuel. So the logical question is, if this is true, how far away is this wave of energy? For that we have IBEX. IBEX was launched back in October 2008, and one of his primary purposes was to record the space environment around our heliosphere, or the protective bubble. So this is how it works. The sun produces particles which with the solar wind are actually ejected into the space. It touches, it goes towards the heliosphere, and when it makes a contact with the interstellar space, it steals an electron. It becomes a neutral atom, energetic neutral atom, and eventually it bounces back towards the sun and other regions of the solar system, and some of those actually energetic neutral atoms are picked up by IBEX, and that's how IBEX is able to make these precise measurements. So the interesting thing is that they found a giant magnetic ribbon at the edge of the solar system, which is exactly matching the galactic plane. As you can see, this thing here, which is Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, by the way, here we are, our solar system, and guess what, is matching perfectly the Milky Way galactic plane. So, back in May 26, 2010, actually, Cygor.com had published that the sun is going to enter a 1,000,000 degrees Celsius cloud of energy, which is highly magnetic. They stated that we're going to hit this cloud in 100 years, but it's totally incorrect. So let's just see, enlarge the image, what we are talking about. This is the place that we are at the moment, what space is concerned, the so-called local interstellar cloud, and this is the local bubble as they refer it. This is nothing else but the spreading wave of energy from the explosion of the Sagittarius A star, or the supermassive black hole in the distant past. As you can see, there is no way that this wave of energy will miss us. So this is the sun, this is our motion, and those are those energetic neutral atoms that I just mentioned that are detected. And we are talking about only the surface, 1,000,000 degrees Celsius, towards here, or here could be 100 million degrees Celsius. So usually people say to me, look mate, you know that you are wrong with this calculation. It takes only 8 minutes for the light to travel from sun to here. If this is here, as you're mentioning, it should be here already. How come we are waiting for 2012? The explanation is very simple. Again, we can use straightforward physics experiment. Throw a rock into the pond, you will make a disturbance. The closer towards that disturbance, the waves are going faster. The further it goes, 10 meters, 20 meters, 50 meters, those circles get more slower and they lose intensity. Eventually they disappear. The same is with this. As the energy blew apart, actually, when it was moving through 10,000 light years, it was very, very fast, 20,000 light years, very, very fast, and then it started to slow down slowly, rapidly. And now it's still moving extremely fast in our understanding, but far, far beyond the speed of light. So it's millions of degrees Celsius hot and extremely magnetic, which is very important. So just for your comparison, Sun corona has at least few million degrees Celsius heat, but the further you go towards the surface of the Sun, the cooler it gets. Only 6,000 degrees Celsius is the surface of the Sun. That's the temperature we actually have. What will happen when the cloud, extremely magnetic with few millions of degrees Celsius of heat, will touch a plasma which is only 6,000 degrees Celsius hot? It will change the rate how the Sun is spending its fuel. At the moment, 4 atoms of hydrogen are fusing into helium. When this hydrogen is exhausted and the helium is there, it starts to fuse helium into carbon. That's where the star or the core of the star collapses and the red giant phase actually begins. And as you can see, the Sun corona will resist for a while, but after this wave or the bubble, and they know about this all the time, will go. But there is more. This energy or wave of energy cannot just hit the Sun and jump over us and rest of the planets in the solar system, which means it will pass through us also and continue on its own path. So again, just straightforward physics. The temperature of the thermosphere is less than 1,500 degrees Celsius. What happens when the cloud, extremely magnetic with so hot properties, touches a gas aggregate state which is less than 1,500 degrees Celsius hot? It will deplete the whole atmosphere, not to mention the magnetism. There were, to the best of my knowledge, at least 10 top secrets and the top level where the engineers were discussing what they're going to do about the issue with the energetic grids. Is there going to be any grounding on the transformers? Nothing of that was decided because it became obvious that they cannot save. They had focused on the underground world if something stays. So I will not cover this much Sun companion star, but I will just mention that they had delivered that there is an object very close to our solar system from the Virgo star constellation. The object is photographed in many occasions all around the world. People call it illusions, atmospheric reflections, sun dogs, and so on and so forth. Especially in China, by millions of people was spotted, and it was all in the news, and many of those people were scientists, and those scientists knew what is sun dog or a reflection and what is the real stuff. So the object is there, and we can see it. We cannot see it all the time because it's a eclipsing binary system. Most of the system in the Milky Way galaxy and everywhere in the space that we are able to observe are even binary star system or even multiply star system. We cannot see this second object because it's in the same line behind the Sun, referring to our observation point, which is Earth. But when the Earth actually is wobbling, we are able to see. Just for comparison, the Sun had rose 2 days before in the Greenland, which is first time in the history. Usually the polar night takes 1 month and a half, and afterwards the Sun rises. This time it had risen 2 days before, and the scientists can come up with a theory that because of the melting of the glaciers, actually this is why the Sun had appeared. And I will ask you, if there is a Mount Everest in front of us, is that going to change? Is it a day or night? It's a nonsense. It just simply means two things. Either the Sun is not on the same place as before, it never is, but in comparing to us, or either the axis of our planet has shifted a lot more than we've been informed. Whatever it's worth, 6 months, because it takes 12 months for our planet to make an orbit around the star. 6 months before that, we're going to be exposed on 2 gravities. One gravity is the Sun, which is still not expanded but pulling us by default like today, and this object, as you can see, which is approaching. Whatever it's worth, in the outer state of consciousness, where I was able to use my Kundalini energy to just remove myself from this biological host that I have, and I was able to penetrate the astral dimension and direct communications with certain intelligence. I was shown via holographic pictures what will take place. And actually they had shown me about Africa. It's not easy for me to say this, but this is the information that I received, and I'm willing to share with the people. It's not about fear, it's about understanding what will follow if certain things are not done. So this kind of opening, it means more than 20 per Richter scale, which means everything will be flattened, not to mention the seismic pulse that will affect the water in the oceans, and we are talking about tsunami at least 2 or 3 miles high. And this is another thing that they had delivered to me, that there will be a huge crack in this location of Australia. Just for example, if this is true and they are telling the truth, how should I put, and there is no reason why not for me to believe them, Melbourne Adelaide and everything will be heavily affected. But for some reason, they said that the western part of the Australia will be no good, but they zoomed directly into this area. They mentioned that whoever is open into this information, he or she can take a shelter when this thing appears if something is not done before. So whoever want to know more about this information can check on my website www.paneandov.com. So closing of the cycle. Many times we are seeing a snake eating its own tail. It's closure of a cycle. And those two appear together, a dragonfly and a phoenix. As you can see in the boat, those anomalous properties in the crops are found. Just for information, the dragonfly symbolizes the rebirth or the renewal after the great hardship or a loss. And the phoenix actually is a mythological bird. As you can see, there is a fire on him. So this mythological bird actually lives a very long lifespan, but when it notices that the life is coming to an end, it puts a fire into the nest and then jumps into the nest and then burns to ashes. But from those ashes, a new phoenix is born or reborn, and they're referring about the rebirth of the sun. If you know about the Mayan long count calendar, it's also known as sunstone. Why sunstone? Because it's counting when the sun is going to be reset or reborn. So estimate contact according to this information is 23rd of December 2012. More about this information you can find on my table there with the DVDs 2012 messages from above and spinning crop circle. Usually people say you fear people in order to sell your DVDs. I can assure you that's not the case. So if this wave of energy is real, that would mean that all the stars that are already in the Milky Way are affected, right? So there should be red giants everywhere, right, if this energy had already passed and it's already here, very close to us. Very simple. Go on internet and Google why does the Milky Way galaxy nuclear bulge contain so many red giants and super red giants. Just take, for example, all those red dots and stuff are where this energy went through. It's all there, but we are not looking. This one appeared on September 28, 2008. As you can see, there is some kind of structure with an eye, and there is a barcode. You can see the barcode here. When it's translated to the binary code with zeros and ones, it says, beware space. So there was an eye. We need to look for some structure like this, like a cross, and where we need to look into space. So in the space, there are a few crosses out there, but the Southern Cross is the one that is more popular. And the interesting thing, the first star, the Gamma Crux, actually had just went through the red giant phase, and the rest is filled with supergiants and white dwarf and so on and so forth. And take, for example, the other side of the Milky Way galactic plane in the Cygnus star constellation is the same. So just for example, you can see the animation here. It does not take billions of years for the expansion. It takes only 6 months and a half, and this star is bigger than our star. So also those white dwarfs actually are there also in the same region. So this is very interesting. This is the update from the IBEX. As you can see, this is the Cygnus where we just saw, and this is the Southern Cross. It's exactly matching where IBEX has picked up those high energy fluxes. So, logical question appears, so how the life on 3D reality would continue according to the extraterrestrials? When our star actually will move to its next stage in its evolution and becomes a white dwarf, this white dwarf is very small, it's the size of our planet, and which means it cannot produce the same amount of the light output without the same amount of the light output means there will be no heat. We are facing another ice age. But there is more. This is the last update that I received from the extraterrestrials a few months ago, and they said that it's going to be a different story. This energy, as I mentioned, is not going to hit just the planets and our sun. It's going to hit this sun companion star. And in my perspective, it's not brown dwarf, but it's another yellow dwarf type of star. And they said that when this energy is going to hit, it's going to do the same to this star again. So just for example, I will show you animation. If you just do the homework and do the research, you will find that eventually when two white dwarfs are facing this scenario, they start to collide and start to attract each other. Eventually they collide and they form another star. So this new star, how should I put it, is capable of producing more energy, more light. And that will be a new beginning when the conditions will be suitable for life and humanity can start all over again. So to the best of my knowledge, shadow government is preparing for at least 5 years, storing food, supplies, hydroponics, extreme stuff. You cannot buy even equipment if you like to build an underground bunker because FEMA is buying everything. A warning to humanity. This crop design actually appeared in August 16, 2002. As you can see, it's a depiction of an extraterrestrial with 3 objects as UFOs and some kind of disc. This person here, Paul Vigo, actually, which is a great loss for everyone, was murdered by certain British intelligence and his body was found floating into the sea. He was very skilled into the computer sciences and he was able to decode some of the crop formation. And when those digital values are applied and translated to English alphabet, you get this translation. Beware of the barriers of the false gifts and their broken promises. Much pain, but still time. There is good out there. We oppose deception. Conduit closing. So who is conduit closing? Obviously, we are talking about extraterrestrial intelligence who is trying to communicate with certain crop circle messages. Closing of what? We are closing of the cycle of the sun. When it's going to close, we have the countdown clock, as we mentioned, December 23rd, 2012. It's all covered, well documented in the PDF, which is free to use on the internet. So let's analyze this line, much pain but still time. Just for comparison, this diagram appeared in 2002. Now we are 2011 and there is even less time and even more pain than before, and manipulation is still ongoing. What we need to do? First, we need to remember who we are. We need to remember that we are infinite consciousness, a cosmic consciousness that is having a human experience. So we are far more complex than we are able to see with just our 5 senses of perception. We are light beings and there is far more greater that we believe we are. At the moment we are operating only at 3% of the active genetic material, which gives you capability to see me, hear me, and experience me to a certain degree, and certain amount of awareness of the astral dimension in the form of lucid dreaming, shortly out of the body experience, and eventually near that experience. That's all that this double helix or 3% of the genetic material can provide to you. And this energy that is coming can change everything. The more of the DNA potential is awakened, the more we are able to access those higher harmonics of the universe or higher frequencies. So we are capable of projecting our energy. This is very important because it's part of the message. And once when we meditate, we tune into the source and we start to accumulate energy and we are able to direct it. We have to understand that we are living in the fractal universe. Everything is just in a constant movement. It's just contracting to infinitely micro and expanding to infinitely macro. So we have to understand that those entities are showing us fractality not to develop technology. They are showing us fractality because we can change it, the outcome of these events, just by using certain potential that we have forgotten. If we go back to the source, to the heart, and we combine the energy, what psychic energy is concerned lies in the emotion. When people are angry or they are in most divine, that's where the energy is very powerful, very strong. So I will not mention about the research of Dr. Masaru Emoto. It's well documented, so I will not bother it with that, but I will just mention that if we are capable of producing these effects with the crystalline structure of the water, we are capable of doing the same with the rest of the elements in this matrix. So if we create, the law of attraction is a beautiful thing, but it's not just creating money and creating experiences. There is also a dynamic that if we apply, we can achieve this stuff. So we need to change the vibrational level. We have to go back towards the nature, right, and to forget everything that deals with violence. So another thing which is extremely important, what they have stated, that we have to stop, and I mean stop violating the cosmic law, killing animals, fish and birds. In reality, we don't need it. We are light beings, we can exist without those. I'm existing without consuming those for years, which means every one of us can do it. With consuming this flesh or meat, how should I put it, we are infecting our DNA structure. I know that for most of you it's difficult to hear, but I would just say this: all that generated stress, horror, when this animal was slaughtered, is passing towards you. Every time you go into the store, you support this slaughter. And it has to stop if we want to change our vibrational level. It keeps us dense. If they photograph you on the Killian camera with proper adjustments, usually the military has those cameras, are not for the public use, your aura will be affected like this. So the more you do not use those, how should I say, pollutants, if you will, right, and also causing harm to other life forms, the more you can tune in and use your chi energy. And we are mutating, we have to understand, we have to take responsibility. At the moment, this double helix functionality is changing. And it's changing because there are intelligent codes. This energy that is coming is not just energy, it's intelligent life form, how should I put it, intelligent scanning program, the ultimate scanning program of the designer itself. It's neither positive, it's neither negative. When it will hit the earth, depends on what vibration or what frequency is dominant, that's what it will do. So every time when there is a crack in the magnetosphere, there is more mutation going on and the more awakening is happening. According to the extraterrestrials and what I was told, that it will be so bright as we go towards this period that those noctilucent clouds appearing everywhere rapidly lately are going to increase until our solar system will start to bathe in light. So the more this energy comes, it means that all our genetic material will be recovered, which means all the memory of your past incarnations, who you were before, with all the knowledge of how the universe works, and with all the powers of your consciousness will be regained, and game is over. We are all free. So I'm looking forward. And also very important puzzle is hidden in the Asian world. More than 600 pyramids made of iron, stone, wood, and earth everywhere in the world. As you can see, even just in this region in China, we are talking about more than 70 pyramids made of granite. Out of those 70 and more, 2 are bigger than the Great Pyramid in Giza. So you can see this is not done by the primitive people. So why they're hiding this information for us? Because if we do not understand what took place in the past, how we will understand how things are like they are, or why are like they are. By understanding what took place in the past, and what we are actually, what we have lost, or what we were able to do in the ancient times, we will start to question, really question what is going on. So, from the ancient times, there were 2 frequencies that were generated. One frequency, or the pyramids that were pointing towards Orion, and the other pyramids that were pointing towards the Pleiad star constellation. One frequency is leading towards the doom of humanity, enslaving of humanity, and this is what usually the Egyptian culture was all about. There were great, magnificent things about Egyptian culture, but as you can see, even in those times, the aggressiveness and the hierarchy had existed. And there is another frequency that is oriented toward a peace, a namaste combination or harmonization with everything that exists. Unity, oneness, meditation, that's what it is. My choice was and always will be the second one. And sometimes I even going beyond those 2 duality, which is give me the clear perception to understand them both, that they're both just sides of the same coin. So this energy when it's going to hit, is going to be reading the metrics of this planet. And that is why they're not pulling something extraordinary. They're leaving because at the moment, despite the fact there is a great awakening, the positive side is losing the game and the time is running out. So this is the solution according to the extraterrestrial. Tuning into meditation, tuning into meditative oneness, combining our energy. Every one of us has different special skills. How should I put that? If we combine, we can do this. And just for example, how advanced they were, you can see this here is a one pagoda in a very rare image. As you can see on the Khmer language, they're depicting how they're utilizing the chi energy flows just from those. And they're all wired with the places where they're meditating. They were extremely knowledgeable into these arts, and it's not difficult for us to copy that. So here we are, the extraterrestrial ultimate message for humanity. So usually people, when they talk, they speak what people like to hear. Unfortunately, I'm not that kind of person. I'm willing to say what I believe is true, and it's true, and it's the right thing to do for myself. So this can end in two ways. One way, we can produce heaven on earth. The other way, everything can go to pieces, and the humanity will have to repeat the cycle. If we learn our lessons, we will be okay. If we do not learn our lessons, planet Earth or the life of planet Earth will be erased, period. So they are also saying that there is a change, there is a way how we can change the outcome. That's the ultimate message, the only reason why those crop circles are appearing. So this one is the ultimate message. This is something that needs to be created individually in every aura to be compatible with this approaching energy, and also it has to be done on the planetary level, and I will explain the dynamics how they are referring. So this is something that is called flower of life geometry. Very well now from a different perspective. Vast majority of the crop circles are actually depicting motifs from germ of life to seed of life, flower of life, fruit of life, so on and so forth, but they are telling us some kind of story. So I will not cover this because it's well documented, it's everywhere in the Asian world. So what is this? Why this message is everywhere in the Asian, in the walls of the Asian temples? Because it's a signature. This is a message for us, guys. We are the ones who this message is supposed to come to see. And I will explain why. Just take for example this one. It's very simple explanation. Usually people think they're very complex. Create a central sphere. Out of that central sphere, create 6 spheres. Then create additional 6 spheres further away from the center, and then create additional 6 spheres further from the central sphere, and then continue to grow. Exactly the same like in Oliver Castle. The most famous footage, I have so many footages of balls of light, but this is the first one. Again, you can see those 19 spheres. They're referring to flower of life or this. So everyone needs to learn to create this. This is what NTIs are saying. It's very important. And it needs to be done in a proper way. This needs to be rotated. Rotation will cause a projection. So we need to project spheres. So one produce another, and as you can see, there is a vesica Pisces in the middle. Again, then from 2, there is a third one that is projected. We have to grow this structure. So how big we have to grow this structure? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. We have to create something that consists of 19 spheres, or exactly in this particular order. This is what I call primary pulse, and this, as you can see, the seed of life, and there are dots that they're showing us. We need to grow further the structure. When this structure is further grown, as you can see, like those, they had to deliver that another layer has to be created afterwards. So let's just analyze this primary pulse. It's everywhere in the Asian temples, so-called 6 petals. So what this means for them? It's everywhere in the crop circles all the time, even this season, and they are completely persistent that we understand these simple dynamics. And if you just go the records, and you will see the logic of what I'm saying. Everything matters where those genuine crop circles are delivered. This especially one was delivered very close to the electrical tower, which means that in order that you produce electricity, you need to spin the central sphere first. meditation is a beautiful thing, but if it's not done properly, it's useless. In which direction we need to spin it, which is clockwise in our direction, counterclockwise if we are standing inside, look at us, or from left to right, if we are looking the whole structure from above and you visualize the head and the shoulders there. So again, you can see 6 spheres with the same amount of petals, but the central one has a double number of petals, and there is something like a bubble growing from the center. It's again rotation, and the bubble is growing from the base chakra. That's where the Kundalini energy is. And again, you can see the movement here. As it moves, the energy expands. And that's what the reference is. Again, you can see how the energy moves, and it has to be extremely fast spin to be able to create. So again, this one was delivered on 13 June 2010 in Torino, Italy, and you can see it's magnificent. Again, you can see those 6 petals everywhere. So when we apply the ASCII code, the translation literally means E equals mc square. Energy comes from the central sphere of flower of life structure. This is what they're saying. This is the primary thoughts, and I will explain in a minute how the energy has to go. So they're saying, as you can see in the same field, the seed of life, and then you have to apply a rotation, a movement. And then when everything is applied, there is an escaping of the energy into the second layer. Again, you can see the same motif. Again, something is escaping and then moving into the rest of the spheres. Again, you can see here in one part, which is one part of the pentagram is missing. Again, the energy is moving again into the further layers. It's all there. We just need to pay attention. Merkaba, this is extremely important and also a vast topic in their deliveries. And whatever it's worth, they had shown me that this Merkaba formation is different from the flower of life. It can be found inside it, but it's different, and I will explain shortly. This star tetrahedron actually are symbolizing the first 8 cells. We all been through this division. The first 8 cells of the creation, whatever, if you are a spider or a bird or a flower or a human, non-human or whatever, it goes into this progression. So they are saying that we need to create this, and the energy has to move through those spheres, and then this star tetrahedron will play a special purpose. For the record, tetrahedron was explained that it's only isolator of the charge. It isolates. So 2 tetrahedrons, there are 2 charges that are present. One which is yin or the dark, and one which is yang or the positive, the light one. As the energy escapes from the generated movement into the rest of the spheres, it fills all the 19 spheres, then through the Vesica Pisces it starts to return back, and that's where the star tetrahedron actually plays its role. It starts to divide the charge and creates isolation of the charge and creates 2 poles. By synchronizing our plus and minus, or our positive and negative energy, we can activate a field around us which can serve as a compatibility to the approaching wave of energy. I know that this is hard to swallow, but when time will come and this energy will actually arrive, you are lucky to hear this. So what I'm trying to say, the energy will come. If this field is on, it will provide a barrier, a shield. As you can see here, something is depicted very close to here, but in both occasions this was erased. But if you apply a filter and you invert the image, and you can see the horizontal lines and then circular lines, they're referring to the sun. And when this energy will actually hit, if the planet Earth becomes a meditative oneness, and we learn, really learn, to become one with the base of the planet itself, and we forget about violence and differences, and we actually tune into the heart and combine our energy, fire the grid, create this force field around us with the star tetrahedron in its center. This energy will hit. There is no escape from it. It will cause this to our star. We don't have to be afraid about this. This is happening frequently inside the cosmos. It's part of the normal cycle of a star, like we are born as a baby and then grow into a teenager and then into the older age. So it's the normal thing, but they are referring, by creating this shield, this heat from the star will not boil the water into the oceans, rivers and lakes. The 3D level will stay. Usually people say, I'm tired of this experience, I want to move on, I'm tired of this earth and everything. But I will tell you, with this attitude you are not going anywhere. You have to understand that this planet and this sun had provided life for us for so long. If we do not learn to respect it and to understand, we will never ascend. That's simply the case. Usually people say, I will catch the first ride, first train, and who cares what happens to earth or to the animals or for everything. As long as you hold that frequency, you are not there. The mutation will not take place. And I will tell you just this. This energy that is coming is highly, highly intelligent. It will scan to the bone. The deepest secrets of your soul will be exposed. There is no line with this scanning program. It will read if you are ready or you're changed or you're willing to change or you're not. So I believe this is what the solution is, and this is what all the flower of life is all about. And the ultimate message for more than 20, 30 years of crop circles are just based into this message that there is a great change in the Milky Way galaxy and it's going to affect our world, and there is a step that we can do as a humanity all together with different races of this field. Whatever it's worth, is not going to be just human. 19 harmonics has to unite into 19 spheres to create this stuff. So once again, for the last time, much pain, still time. That was back in 2002, and now we are 2011, which is less time and even more pain, but now we know what we need to do. So whoever is resonating with this, we are doing planetary Flower of Life meditation every Sunday from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Brisbane time. Everyone is welcome to join. More about this you can find on my website. So I honor that place inside you where the universe resides, and when I am in that place in myself and you are in that place in yourself, we are one. Namaste and thank you very much.
Well done. Wow, put the lights on. That's going to give you guys something to think about at lunchtime. It also sort of puts the kibosh on doing a conference in July next year, doesn't it? I don't want to trivialise what he's saying, but I do want to address some of the points he's raised, because there is an incredible amount of similarity between some of the things that you've seen here and some of the things you're going to hear from the next speaker, and some of the things you'll hear about regarding the Cheney project and some of the stuff which we're able to talk about in the last talk.
Это была конференция в Австралии. Тоже не случайно, кстати. Он сам из Македонии, паня Андов, а конференция была в Австралии. Вот. Понятно, что в средние века, если были бы такие, как паня Андов, такие, кстати, были бы Джордано Бруно, его бы сожгли бы. Представляете? Человек честно исследует круги на полях, НЛО, то, что посылает. Он, как утверждает, был несколько раз у них в гостях. Вот. И при всем при этом он, значит, как бы плохой, да? Ну, так считает религия. Кстати, не случайно здесь нет ни одного слова ни о Христе, ни о Будде, ни о Кришне. Вообще, я вам скажу, как думаю, потому что иначе не имеет права, не имеет смысла с вами вообще иметь дело, да, общаться. Если вы все еще христиане, буддисты, исламисты, кришнаиты и еще кем-нибудь, то мне вас жалко. Вот просто жалко. Вот, так что, ребята, пора уже, господа, пора уже быть самостоятельными, иметь свою религию. Какая бы ни была, плохая, средняя, слабая, но своя. Христос нам не указ. Вот. Итак. Что за шум тут? Ладно, короче, не знаю, что за шум. В том случае мы отключим это устройство. Да, надо отключать его. Я так измучен. Пусть отдыхает чуть-чуть. Так, мои хорошие. Мои хорошие, такое выражение еще от одной московской целительницы, которую звали Протасовская. Протасовская. Она исцеляла много людей бесплатно и умерла. Вырисовывается, ну, вы сами видели, сколько здесь следов вот этих вот других цивилизаций. Это все круги на полях. Они, эти круги, значит, очень большие, просто огромные. Километра 2-3. Это не может быть делать человек. И там, да, кстати, даже он исследовал, были-то все-таки попытки рисовать, люди делать. И там, где люди делают, значит, пшеница или трава, ну, они же должны ходить вокруг, да, чтобы делать это все. А там, где настоящий, значит, пшеница, трава не разрублена, там стоит ровно, так что настоящие круги есть. Значит, кстати, вот я говорю о новой религии, о новой духовности, о новом духовном движении. На самом деле будет, что будет, не в этом дело. Но если даже оно будет, я имею в виду, будет практически, потому что астрально оно есть. И собралась критическая масса свободомыслящих людей, которым надоело все это. Все это в прошлом и хотят свободно мыслить. Так вот, и свободно верить. Так вот, если это и будет, то вот чем занимается наша религия-то. Вот такими вот вещами. Не только этими, конечно. Акцент делается на сознании, на восприятии мира, на душу и дух. Не только нашу душу и дух, все остальное. Но в том числе и НЛО, в том числе и другими мирами, в том числе и общение с ними, в том числе контактом с теми НЛО, которые пытаются нам помочь, пытаются нам что-то подсказать. Вот. Слабое место человечества, это, конечно, то, что нет еще контакта с НЛО. Вот у него было. Если ему верить. Я ему верю, например. Значит, это у него было. Значит, видимо, он все-таки вступил в контакт с хорошими инопланетянами, раз они, значит, вернули его обратно, он такой активный. Видимо, он первый, я не знаю, иерархию, кто занимается НЛО на уровне планеты Земля, и кто первый. Но, видимо, он один из самых первых. Вы знаете прекрасно, что вот говорят, послали Христа, Будду, Кришну, Мухаммеда, чтобы спасать нас, чтобы это полный миф. И что они делали, этот Христос, Будда, Кришна? Они что, остановили ядерное вооружение Америки и России? Не остановили. Они что, остановили бомбежку Хиросимы и Нагасаки? Или концлагеря Гитлера, Сталина? Даже в рамках одной религии, христианства. Ведь Германия тоже христианская страна, и Россия тоже христианская. Они воевали между собой, лагеря строили. Хотя там здесь православие, там протестантизм, католичество, но все равно христианство. Так что даже силы уже как бы нету у христианства такой реально, чтобы даже между собой они не воевали страны, которые как бы христианские. Да? Так что не послал их никто. Они просто талантливые в духовно-религиозной сфере. Кришна, Будда, Мухаммед, Христос. Просто и время прошло, они же были в прошлом талантливые. Вот сейчас, что сказал Христос об этих НЛО и об этих... Да ничего не сказал. Вот и в Библии ничего нет об этом. Уж тем более в таком количестве, как здесь. 30 тысяч. 30 тысяч. За последние 20 лет 30 тысяч таких следов на полях нашли. Самое интересное, что каждый из них пытается вроде бы что-то нам передать. Передать по-своему. То есть, видимо, среди инопланетян просто есть хорошие цивилизации, которые пытаются нам помочь. Вот. Он написал, кстати, книгу довольно красивую, с таким вызывающим названием «Пани Андов». Его зовут Пани Андов. Он из Македонии, из Скопья, столица Македонии. Женат. У него там журнальчик, называется «Шестое чувство». Журнал про НЛО, открывает глаза на эти вещи. На македонском языке. Значит, называется его книга «Выдающиеся силы человека». Extraordinary Power of Humanity. Выдающиеся чрезмерные силы, экстраординарные, необычные силы или сверхспособности человека или человечества. Кстати, я не знаю, как вы, для меня это пока самый сильный фильм об этих вещах, потому что я видел много фильмов об НЛО. Но вот такой анализ и вот такой вот, это только первый раз такой, поэтому я решил поставить его целиком сюда вот. Потому что есть же просто описывает, но описывает с точки зрения здравого смысла. Ну вот увидел, ну может он такой, может другой, ну вот и все, я же тоже много чего вижу. А вот тут анализ, тут он говорит, что был у них, что они пытаются нам помочь и так далее. Это, конечно, уже круто. Вот. Вот и все, мои хорошие. Итак, не забудем, что мы не одни. Вокруг нас есть и хорошее, и плохое, есть и сложнее. Не забудем, что наша задача состоит в том, чтобы как-то хорошо влиять на человечество, на Вселенную. По возможности дружить с ними, сотрудничать с этими НЛО. Вот. Попутно можно, конечно, и с душами продвинутыми дружить, сотрудничать. Ну, я имею в виду Кришну, Христос, Будду, Мухаммед и другие. Вот. Просто есть нюансы. Нюансов много, мои хорошие. Нюансы таковы, что есть здоровая психика и нездоровая психика. Можно свихнуться, слегка занимаясь больше, чем надо всем этим. То есть надо удерживать вот эту здоровую психику и вообще надо удачно духовно развиваться. Ну вот весь этот канал Анатолий Русу как бы об этом, о духовном удачном развитии. Конечно, вырисовывается, что это моя карма, ну, моя карма такая. Я думаю, что она самая, вообще я думаю, что моя карма самая светлая среди всех людей. Но она просто очень сложная, понимаете, она сложная, она утонченная. Чтобы видеть этот свет и это раскрепощение, идущее от моей кармы, надо самим быть в резонансе, как бы, и выдержать мои вибрации, как бы, такие вот. Кстати, я сам тоже не выдерживаю еще супер вибрации. Всему свое время, да. Ну, тут, конечно, вы можете еще раз посмотреть это все. Через просмотр этой записи можно даже учить английский язык. Вот. Тем более, что он здесь научный такой язык, хороший, не матовый, не обыденный, научный. Ну, не научный, эзотерический даже, можно сказать. Вот. То есть энергии, все такие понятия тут есть. Это приятно. Надо такой английский изучать. Английский тоже разный бывает. Вот. Я надеюсь, что придет время через 3, 5 или 10 лет, когда... Кстати, так работает высшая магия. Под высшей магией имеется в виду закономерности жизни. Высшие закономерности в жизни, да. Через 3, 5, 10 лет пани андов услышит о меня, о моей религии, о нашем духовном движении, исследует мой канал и также найдет что-то хорошее и поставит у себя. А если не поставит, то сделает вывод, потому что не обязательно ставить у себя. Если происходит революция в сознании, да, то этого хватает. Мы уже такие. Революция, главная революция. Я провозглашаю революцию, положительную революцию в сознании. Откинуть все отжившее, ненужное, старое, религии, увлечения вообще и что-то новое. Ну, пани Андов, он мне нравится. Он, например, вегетарианец, то есть не кушает мясо. Он проповедует это активно, что не надо кушать. Он проповедует добро. Но он говорит о новой религии, новой духовности, но у него может быть такая карма. Он сам говорит, что моя карма, его задача как бы вот, распространять эти знания. Вот. Моя карма тоже особая. Учить людей, что они боги. Учить людей, что они боги, это очень такая особая карма. Самому мне надо быть богом, правильно, если я учу других быть.